Summer Game Fest is just over a week away, and while we are all hoping that Persona 6 finally gets revealed from Atlus at this event, it's all been but confirmed that the Persona 4 remake will be showing up here, and this news further confirms that. Yep, there's some drama going on surrounding this game, and we're about to dive in, but hey, it confirms that just like Persona 3 Reload, this will be more than just a standard remake of Persona 4. Be sure to give this video a like if you are looking forward to Persona 4 Remake and participate in my giveaway of the newest Shin Megami Tensei remaster, Raidou Remastered, The Mystery of the Soulless Army. Details are linked in the description. Alright, Persona 4 Remake. We don't know what it's ultimately going to be called, but we won't have to wait long at all until we finally get an official reveal of this heavily rumored game, as the title is slated to get revealed later next week at Summer Game Fest. From Persona 4 vocalist Shihoko Hirata in March revealing her return to the recording studio to release tracks for an unannounced game, to the spotting of the game's registered domain later that month, these are two big signs that Persona 4 Remake is about to get announced. Fast forward to late May, and we have not one, but two major voice actors who worked on Persona 4 and its various spin-offs over the years confirm that they, unfortunately, will not be returning to reprise their classic roles in this upcoming remake. On Wednesday, May 28th, acclaimed video game voice actor Yuri Lowenthal, who voiced the character Yosuke in Persona 4 and all its accompanying spin-offs, confirmed on a now-deleted post on Blue Sky that he was not asked back to voice his lines for the upcoming remake. And for those who keep asking, no, I will not be returning as Yosuke for the Persona 4 remake, Yuri said in his post. I asked, maybe I even begged, but they don't want me to come back. Definitely a shame that Yuri wasn't asked back to voice Yosuke, and while some may have thought that he would be the only one that was replaced, well, think again, as now we have Erin Fitzgerald also reveal on Blue Sky that she will not be reprising her role as Chie Satonaka in the upcoming remake. For those asking, I have not been asked to reprise my role as Chie Satonaka in the Persona 4 remake, remarked Erin in her post. R.I.P. I am blessed to have recorded as many Persona 4 games as I did playing her. This confirms the obvious. Persona 4 Remake is likely going to feature an entirely new voice cast, if not a heavily reworked one. 2 years ago, when Persona 3 Reload was first revealed at 2023's Summer Game Fest, we learned that every single character in that game was to feature an entirely new voice cast. Of course, with the exception of Elizabeth and perhaps maybe one or two outside the core cast. Not many people were happy with the recast of that game, and while certain characters did stand out as being noticeably quite different from their earlier iterations, I have to say that I was overall quite impressed with how well the newer English cast sounded when compared to the older cast. We all have our preferences, and I respect that, but there is definitely some frustration going through the Persona fandom when these iconic characters get recast for their newer, more updated remake iterations. In fact, just to center around Persona 4 versus Persona 4 Golden, I remember there was some pushback when Chie's original voice actress in Persona 4 and Amanda Wynn Lee was replaced with a much different take on the character in Erin Fitzgerald for Persona 4 Golden. I remember being so taken aback by Erin Fitzgerald's portrayal of the character when I first booted up P4G back on the Vita, but quickly began to appreciate her take on the character, and now hearing Chie without Erin's voice going forward is just, well, weird. The same thing happened with the recast of Teddy from the original to Persona 4 Golden as well. Alright, you probably get my point, but I'm just really curious to see how these new voice actors compare to the older ones, as they most definitely will be compared, just as what happened with Persona 3 Reload. But this decision by Atlus to recast Persona 4 for the remake had me thinking, there's gotta be a reason for doing this, right? It was when I started to reflect on Persona 3 Reload, more specifically, the new things that made their way into that remake, that I started to realize why the recast happened. Simply put, outside of a fresh new cast for both new and older fans of Persona 4, we are likely going to be getting more content added to Persona 4 Remake. When talking about the recast, we also need to look back at Persona 3 Reload here to get an idea as to what new things we can potentially expect to see in Persona 4 Remake. Outside of the minor changes in dialogue between the original and Persona 3 Reload, Reload received tons more dialogue over the original game, namely in the form of two big ways. The first being the way that the Social Link rank-up scenes became fully voiced. This is, of course, a huge undertaking, as these games, for the most part, traditionally have voice acting reserved just for the major scenes and events, so including the entirety of the 20+ social links to get completely voiced adds a lot of additional work for both the voice actors and the developers working them into the game. Moving on to the second big addition to Persona 3 Reload over the earlier iterations of Persona 3 comes in the form of the additional scenes in the optional but highly worthwhile Link episode system unique to Persona 3 Reload. The Link episodes were essentially there to make up for the absence of social links for the male party characters, an exclusion very apparent for those who have played Personas 4 and 5. So to make up for that absence in Persona 3, Atlus decided to essentially include something similar to social links for these male party characters in the remake. While Persona 4 does not have this issue, I can definitely imagine something similar to the Link episodes coming to Persona 4 Remake, as these optional events in Persona 3 not only gave greater context to these individual characters, but it also showcased more of their personal growth in relation to the larger cast of the game, something that I see all Persona games benefit from going forward. In fact, Persona 3 Reload went even further by voicing so many of the new to Reload dorm life interactions that weren't present in the original game. So now that I think about it, Persona 3 Reload did add a lot of extra dialogue to a game that already had a ton of voiced dialogue to begin with. So I'm sure this played some part as to why Persona 3 Reload received a new cast. I imagine this certainly pertains to Persona 4 Remake as well, as in previous videos, we discussed just how far Atlus could go with the new elements being added to the game. What with elements like the aforementioned Link episode systems, the fully voiced social links, and perhaps even a complete overhaul of the Persona 4 dungeons that make them more akin to the palace designs seen in Persona 5, getting rid of random floors of Persona 4 entirely while adding entirely new story elements to these areas. How they end up addressing the dungeons and their designs remains to be seen in Persona 4 Remake, but at the end of the day, Persona 4 Remake is absolutely getting more voice dialogue, being from new features or not, and that's just something we unfortunately have to come to grips with before the game even officially gets released. It's wild we're talking about all this stuff about Persona 4 Remake without even having the game officially revealed yet, but hey, hopefully we'll get a glimpse into the new features coming to the game, and consequently the new cast later next week when the game is slated to get revealed. But let me know what your thoughts are regarding the recast of Persona 4 Remake in the comments. Let's also hope to finally get an official word on Persona 6 either at Summer Game Fest or perhaps at the Game Awards, but remember to stay tuned to the channel for everything Persona, and go ahead and find me over in this video as we ponder what new features could be heading to Persona 4 Remake. And I look forward to seeing you all real soon in the next one.